Should the Minnesota Wild look to fill Joel Eriksson Ek's void on the roster with guys they currently have? Or does it make more sense to call someone up from Iowa or look at a trade? Alex Micheletti joins us as we debate those questions and more today on Locked on Wild.
You're Locked on Wild, your daily podcast on the Minnesota Wild, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to another episode of Locked on Wild, your daily Minnesota Wild podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you for making Locked on Wild your first listen every day. And just as a reminder, Locked on Wild is free and available everywhere and anywhere you listen to podcasts. On today's episode of Locked on Wild, we look at potential options for the Wild to replace Joel Eriksson Ek in the lineup, whether it be call-ups, whether it be a trade, whether it be to stay with the group that got us here. Alex Micheletti joins the show today. We will briefly discuss the current state of the Minnesota Wild with their game tonight having been postponed due to COVID-19 issues with the Winnipeg Jets, and the fact that, if this is even something to brag about, the Wild are the final team in the NHL without a single player on the COVID-19 protocol list. So we'll talk about all that and the center situation on today's episode of Locked on Wild. My name is Seth Topal, host of Locked on Wild, veteran Minnesota sports content producer. My Monday co-host, Micheletti Mondays, always in style. Alex Micheletti is here to join the show. You can follow him. There we go. Right there at Alex Micheletti. Alex, welcome. Hope your Christmas was a good one. How are things going?
Good. Yeah. It's Christmas is finally wrapped up and we got New Year's here and Winter Classic. Fingers crossed, and yeah, hopefully back to some hockey. Definitely miss it. It's been weird not having it. And at least football's been on, so that's been fun to watch all the football and all that. But we're here to talk about the Wild, so hopefully get the games back rolling again, and we can get through these COVID issues for pretty much the entire league, and so. But definitely looking forward to a Winter Classic here in Minnesota finally.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing, as I talked about in the open of the show, I don't know if it's something to celebrate or to brag about, but the Wild are the only team right now that does not have COVID issues on either their coaching staff or the roster. And so, here we are, the only team without anything going on, and it leads to. I saw that picture that I think it was Kirill Kaprizov shared on Instagram that, the team is trying to get ready for the game as best as they can. And there were a few members of the team out on a pond somewhere skating around, just trying to stay loose because tonight's game against Winnipeg has been postponed. And as you alluded to, St. Louis Blues now are dealing with COVID-19 issues. And so at this point, I don't really know what you do. I know the Wild are practicing, and I guess just take solace in the fact that we aren't having to deal with it yet. And that, despite all these other teams having games postponed, that the Wild have not been part of the issue there, I guess is kind of the silver lining of all of this.
Yeah. I saw that what they're going to probably have bring back the good old taxi squads too. So, about time at least to help out some of these teams with, because it hurts the on-ice product when teams have to play shorthanded, and no one wants to see that. For all the paying customers in the arena, and at least now they're trying to add some protections for teams, which is no brainer. I'm concerned about the Blues. They got 4 in the protocol today. And they have a game, in a couple days. I think they should just postpone that and, just make sure that they can get through with no more positive tests. And have both teams ready to rock as much as they can. For the most part, all the big Blues names, a lot of them have already had COVID. So, and Jordan Binnington just had COVID. So at least he'll be back. It's a big name around the league too. And, Vladimir Tarasenko and, David Perron, who knows if he'll be back. Yeah, so, it should be an exciting matchup for sure.
Yeah, and we just kind of have to be in wait and see mode that everything can be ready to rock for Saturday's game. If something were to happen, I guess the NHL would have to try to look into quickly scrambling together an opponent. I don't know if they could get that put together that quickly. We're not even going to think about it.
Let's hope not. Yeah. Hopefully it's not the Wild versus an AHL St. Louis team. No.
We're just going to go full tilt into the game will happen, and so we'll just continue to update as the week goes on. Now, in just looking at this matchup, since we won't have a chance to talk about it before the game has happened, do you like how the Wild stack up against St. Louis when both teams are kind of at, what could be considered full strength at this point in the year? Obviously, the Wild missing a couple of big pieces, and the Blues have dominated this rivalry recently, but this isn't necessarily the same Blues team as last year. They have added some more speed, so they're not just this huge, battering ram, just kind of crawling around on the ice. So that, I guess, helps the Wild. But is this a better fit for the Wild from a matchup standpoint in this year's squad?
Well, I would say yes, but now we got Jared Spurgeon and Ek out. So that changes a lot of things, because that Ek line with Greenway and Foligno was rolling. They were playing some of the best hockey again. So losing that is just a huge crater. So right now I give the edge to the Blues with the way they were playing too. Before this shutdown, and the Wild weren't playing great. So right now, I think you kind of have to give it to the Blues. We just don't know how the Wild are going to be. Now without Ek too. It completely changes their lineup. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting. We'll see. Jordan Binnington hasn't played in a while too, so he could be rusty. So either way, I'm expecting a really low scoring game. You never know with the ice conditions too, and it looks like it's going to be super cold on Saturday too. So that can that can make things interesting outside too, and at least they shouldn't have to deal with sun, which is good. So, it'll be really interesting, to see. The Blues have a pretty good line going with Buchnevich and Tarasenko, or a duo, you would say. The Russians together. Their center, I think, is going to be out Barbashev because he's got COVID, so that that kind of hurts them too. Right now I kind of give a slight edge to the Blues just with the way they were playing right before the shutdown. But it's so unknown with both teams not having played in a while too. So.
Exactly. It's too hard to tell this early in the week. Right. This is more of a check-in on Friday and kind of see how things are going. One thing is for sure, it will not be the coldest outdoor game in Minnesota sports history. Save that for the 2015 Vikings Seahawks wild card game at TCF Bank Stadium. Not going to be that cold, but it'll still be a fun atmosphere that will kind of echo what that playoff game brought. So should be fun.
Oh yeah, the atmosphere. I went to the Stadium Series when they played Chicago, and that was just an absolute blast. But the Winter Classic's on a whole nother level. I got Thomas Rhett playing at during intermissions. So that should get the crowd all fired up too, and people will be partaking in festivities all day before the game. And the 10K Takes guys are doing a pregame show at Basement Bar in Northeast. So that should be a lot of fun with all of our buddies that we know of. And looking forward to this game. So fingers crossed everybody just stays healthy before then.
Yeah, 100%. It'll be a nice kind of welcome back to the NHL schedule, and kick off the second half. So yeah, we'll keep our fingers crossed. We'll update throughout the week as to if what's going on with the game. I'm not gonna do the if thing because it's going to happen. The NHL has put too much into it. It's going to happen on Saturday, come hell or high water. So we'll leave it at that, and we'll just update on it as the week goes on. You did mention the fact that the Wild are without Joel Eriksson Ek, is one of the players vacant from the roster right now. So we'll spend the rest of the show kind of looking at options for what the Wilds can do here the rest of the year, call-ups, trades, any potential option for the Wild to fill that spot on the roster. More on today's episode of Locked on Wild with Alex Micheletti coming up after this. The holiday season is over, and you are probably up to here with the number of sweets, cookies, brownies, ice cream, tiramisu cake if you're in the Topol household. And so you're probably looking for something that is still a delicious treat, but gives you way less of the calories. I'm here to tell you that Built Bar is your post-holiday savior. Listen to this. Built Bar is full of rich, decadent flavor, covered in chocolate, but amazingly low in calories, sugar, net carbs, and fat, and still high in protein. So you get the best of both worlds, both delicious and healthy. There are a ton of flavors to choose from as well. Will you go with raspberry or mint brownie, cherry or double chocolate, cookies and cream, or peanut butter brownie? Any of those flavors would be a win in my book. So make sure to give them a try, whether it's on the go, at the gym, or just sitting around the house putting together whatever gifts you got from Christmas. So head to Built.com, use the promo code LOCKED15, and you'll get 15% off of your order. Again, use the promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at Built.com. Continuing today's episode of Locked on Wild. And again, thank you for making Locked on Wild your first listen every day. Just a reminder, Locked on Wild is free and available wherever you listen to your podcast. You can listen anywhere and everywhere to Locked on Wild. Seth Topol hanging out with Alex Micheletti, and we got a little bit of a roster spot to fill. Joel Eriksson Ek out. And, there are a couple of different ways for the Wild to play this. I don't necessarily know that kind of just hanging on and going with the in-house options. I suppose that's the most popular, but I don't know if that's necessarily the best way to go, because let's look at that then. Ryan Hartman, still your top center with Kaprizov and Zuccarello. After that, you go with Nico Sturm. You've got Victor Rask, and you probably then would have Nick Bjugstad as the center of that fourth line. So assuming that the Wilds go that route, first question: who makes the most sense to center that Foligno and Greenway line?
Well, you know what I think they're going to do? I don't think people are going to be really happy, but I think they are going to move Hartman down and play with Foligno and Greenway, just because of the style play that Hartman plays with, that kind of that grinder aspect, and unfortunately put Rask in between Zuccarello and Kaprizov. That's what I think is going to happen. I've been clamoring for Marco Rossi to come up here and fill top six center role, but the comments that that management has made is they said that you have to earn your spot. So I think maybe they are upset with this play, but he's a point per game player down there in Iowa. So either they don't like the way defensively he's playing, or we haven't gotten clarification on that. But I just think that Rask is going to go back with Kaprizov just because of the little success he's had with with them, and I know it drives people bonkers. And you know what I think they're going to do is also have Bukestad move to center and call up Mason Shaw. I think they like Mason Shaw, and I think that's going to be the move. I think he's played better than the Kyle Rao. So I mean, I think that's who, or the Doer guy. But I think that's what they're going to do. Unfortunately, just with the way Hartman can grind, and they, I know you don't like it, but I think that's seriously what they're going to do. That's what it, just with the way they've done things recently. That's what I think is going to happen.
Yeah, I was just getting ready to do a big exhale because as much as I'm not a huge fan of it,
right.
I think you're absolutely right. Because this is a prime example of a general manager staying the course.
Mm-hmm.
Because if we do go with the Marco Rossi route, that accelerates his timeline. Then
his contract too. Yeah.
Yes, then that gets his contract in motion, which then bumps how he fits into this up by a year. And make no mistake about it, the Wilds just look at this as natural, like, pieces in the puzzle. Victor Rask's contract is up after this year. Marco Rossi fits perfectly in that spot once Rask is done. There's really no, as much as we don't like it as fans, as much as I can sit here as host of the show and say that I don't like it, it's that is the way that it's going to be played. In fact, I may have missed it, but honestly, it would not shock me at all if that's even how the roster call up is handled. Mason Shaw got a chance earlier, and so give him another go. He didn't, when he got in, he didn't do anything that stood out in a negative way.
Right.
So just give him another opportunity. And so yeah, it's going to be Hartman going back with the Foligno and Greenway line.
The Bash brothers.
They played together before, and Hartman is versatile enough as a center now that he can adapt to what his line mates like to do.
And he can play that role just like Ek does. Play both ways, play, the full 200 game, just check the heck out of lines and get the puck in deep and, just, cycle it right around in front. And, they get the greasy goals. They aren't the, the high skilled, just, spinorama like Deacon. It's, get the puck on net and jam it home for a rebound.
Yeah, they don't get the style points. They don't want the style points. They don't need the style points. So.
I can tell you Fiala liked playing with Foligno against Dallas. That pass he made. I mean,
yeah.
So yeah, I think Ryan Hartman would love playing with Marcus and Jordan Greenway. They can give your center a lot of space. So
yeah. God, we got to figure out that third line.
No.
That's a whole nother show. But
right.
Yeah, so I think the stand pat approach is just what you outlined.
Right.
With Rask back up, Hartman down to the second line, and then you turn Bukestad into a center and you call up Mason Shaw and you roll with that. I think that's probably the route that they go.
I think we're just with the COVID world. I think it's gonna be tough to make trades because the salary cap is tight again, and you just don't know with guys on protocols and going in and out, and it's just, I think GMs are going to be really hesitant to make moves. So I know we're all clamoring for a guy like Tomas Hertl. He'd be the absolute perfect fit on this team. I'm sure Billy G will definitely reach out to San Jose. I don't think San Jose can keep doing what they're doing. I think eventually they're gonna, keep go down a little bit in the standings. I I don't trust their goaltending. It's Aiden Hill and James Reimer. So over time they can't sustain what they've been doing. So eventually the cream rises to the top, and Edmonton and Vegas will be humming, and Calgary's right there too. So
I have a name that I've zeroed in on that is not Tomas Hertl, and I don't know if we've had a chance to talk about it yet. Claude Giroux, who, as I dive in, you talk about the boxes that you want to have checked to fill like just a center on this team.
Yeah.
Good in the faceoff circle. He's at 60% on the season. Check. Good playmaking center to pair with Kevin Fiala. Check. It's going to come down to price, but
also who is the GM and the assistant GM of the Philadelphia Flyers. Now that adds to everything. Would Chuck Fletcher and Brent Flair, would they want to be a trading partner with the team that fired them? That would be interesting. If that were to happen, that and it goes through, that would be something else. Just to see if they would try to fleece the Wild, or if they make a bad trade, with like a Hansel type of deal, but in the Wild's favor this time. So
it would be something if Fletcher ended up asking for a couple of prospects that he drafted just to see if he could get them to play out in Philly.
Right.
And with Judd Brackett in tow, Guerin would be on the phone and he'd be like, they want player X and player Y, and Brackett would be like, do it. That's it.
Yeah, that would definitely be interesting. I've always liked Drew's game. He's a good locker room guy. He's been heart and soul of that Philly team for so long, and amazing. He's really good on the power play too. They're struggling, but it's not their fault. I mean, the decor of Philly is just awful. I mean, you sign. I don't know what they were expecting. Keith Yandel, and you trade for. Ristolainen from Buffalo. Why would you want to trade from a team that's even worse defensively than Philly was? And Chuck's signed Martin Jones as a backup for Carter Hart. So if Carter Hart struggles, you turn to Martin Jones. How's that going to be any good? So, and they're in a really tough division, so it's tough. But if they're trying to get younger. That would be something if they could pull off that with a deal with the team that fired the leadership, and now they're in Philly. So
that would be. I mean, it wouldn't be them dealing with the direct predecessor to Chuck Fletcher, but still,
right,
guy that came in and
history.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I don't know. We'll see. The other huge factor too is, would a guy like Giroux, who has spent his entire career with Philly, want to go somewhere else? Does he want to leave? It remains to be seen. Right. But I'm reserving the right to dream about it because I think it would be a good fit.
Yeah, so, no doubt. Yeah, I agree.
We'll wait and see. But just as you talk. Just to kind of add, some fire to the wounds, we talk about Marco Rossi having to earn it down in Iowa. He is at 18 points in 18 games right now, 4 goals.
Pretty good.
Assists. So, yeah. Well, if that's the way that, and again, like I said, it's about the general manager staying the course. Right. And not panicking, not deviating just because of
he hasn't made a bad move yet. So I mean, in Billy G we trust. So
exactly. Well, let's finish up just taking a look at some of the other things going on in the NHL. We'll continue our chats with Alex Micheletti to wrap up today's episode of Locked On Wild after this. BetOnline.ag has you covered this holiday season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before as the NFL continues to march to the playoffs and college bowl season goes into full swing. BetOnline.ag remains your number one spot for all of your favorite sports action this season. So head over to their new website or use your mobile device to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Make sure to use the promo code LOCKDOWN to receive that welcome bonus. College basketball, the NBA, the NFL, college football, the NHL, boxing, and UFC, all the way to your favorite Vegas casino games. Don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available for the 2021 season. BetOnline.ag is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all of your favorite sports. So don't wait to take advantage of all the new amazing offers available. All at BetOnline.ag, where the game starts. Final segment of today's episode of Locked On Wild. Again, thank you for making Locked On Wild your first listen every day. We are available everywhere and anywhere you listen to podcasts. Alex, just looking at some other news from the NHL, and really there isn't any, but one thing that is in effect is currently going on, and our friend Spoke Z has been all over it since it started, is, of course, the World Juniors. Have you had a chance to take any of the World Juniors in yet, or is that going to be more of a project for the rest of this week?
Yeah, a little bit. Anxious to continue to watch Jesper Wallstedt play, and check out our buddy Marat on Russia. So yeah, it's a fun tournament. Glad they're getting that in. It's definitely some of the best hockey you'll see all year, and some of the future stars of the NHL. I think Canada will get the gold, but I think Sweden's right there with the U.S. too. Yeah. I think those will be the three medalists. It's amazing hockey. Some of the so talented, these kids are, and the game continues to get faster and faster. And some of these goalies are gigantic too. Askarov on Russia is like 6'6". It's like, how do you score on a guy like that? And teams are doing it. So it's unreal. Got Owen Power on Team Canada trying to go in between the legs on, he's an amazing player to watch. And Jake Sanderson on Team USA, who's at North Dakota. So watching those two, play defense is just absolutely incredible. And they're going to be studs in the NHL for a decade plus and play 25 minutes a game like Ryan Suter, in his prime. So yeah, it's fun for sure. Definitely rooting on our Team USA boys for sure.
The only other thing that became official over the weekend, and I think I tweeted out, officially official again, in that the NHL is not going to the Olympics. And so it was interesting in the release that the NHL specifically said there will not be an Olympic break. So leads me to believe that they're going to try to get as many of those games into the month of February as possible. Obviously, factors that go against that are whatever events the various NHL arenas have booked during that month of February. At least on the silver lining side for the Wild, it's just 4 games for them, because I think it is substantially more for a few other teams so far this year.
Yeah, I was joking with somebody, maybe they'll remember last year during like the bubble, they had game times at all hours of the day. And we had like triple headers and games starting at like lunch and like in the afternoon. That might not be possible now that fans are back in there, but it just it'd be something to have, games like starting, kind of during the day if there's like concerts at night and that kind of stuff. But it'll be interesting to see how they can, if they're not going to have that Olympic break, how they're going to deal with arenas, because arenas events are usually planned out months and months ahead of time. So, kind of like how like the Minnesota State high school hockey tournament, there's always, the Wild are always on the road because they have to get that through. So it'll be interesting for sure.
The poor New York Islanders have only played 26 games this season, and that is 5 fewer than the Washington Capitals. It is 6 fewer than the Vegas Golden Knights and the Anaheim Ducks. So Islanders have a lot to
Did you
try
see
to
who went in the protocol today for them? Our old buddy Zach Parise.
Oh no.
Yeah, they had multiple guys going today. So it's just that team really can't buy a break. They're when they are full go, I mean, they are extremely tough to beat. I feel really bad for Barry Trotz. They just haven't had their full squad going, and it's tough with the division they're in too. It's just a nightmares row of good teams. So
yeah,
it's too bad. Hopefully they can get fully healthy and get make up a ton of games, but that probably means a lot of back-to-backs. So I'm sure they're not thrilled about that too.
Yeah, probably not. You mentioned the resumption of play in which the NHL was like, okay, we're going to have games starting at 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. Honestly, best thing ever.
Right.
Because
they
were on a couple of different channels. And especially now, if they go a similar route there, you got all the games except your home market on the Plus.
Right.
So you can have 4 games on at once. Or if you are a absolute psycho like me, 2 TVs,
yes,
4 games on each.
Chaos, as our friend Alexis Pearson likes to say.
I can't wait. That is a new discovery to me with the Quadcast, and now that I have 2 TVs that work at the same time.
A workaround.
March Madness this year. Split screen city.
Get your True TV ready, your TNT, TBS. Remember all those channels that you only watch during March Madness. Yeah.
Oh, I can't wait. I hope the NHL does something like that, because that I'm crediting that for what got me like seriously into hockey, was just being able to, obviously there was nothing to do.
Right.
So, like, flip on the TV at 11 and just watch all day. And it's like, oh, this is sweet.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's amazing. Yeah.
I'd be fine with them doing that again.
Yes, for sure.
We'll wait and see. Well, I think that is a good a spot as any to leave it here for today. So now that your first listen of the day is done, make sure your second listen is Locked On Bets, your daily one-stop shop for all of your gambling needs. Locked On Bets is hosted by your boy Q, with expert analysis and insight from Lee Sterling. Locked On Bets is free and available everywhere and anywhere you listen to podcasts. Just like Locked On Wild, you can listen anytime, any place, any platform, as well as all of our social media channels: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Not TikTok. I'm not doing a TikTok, so don't ask. But everywhere else, we've got great content coming for you in 2022, so make sure to follow us on all of those platforms. Make sure to follow me right here and Alex right here for more wild content throughout the week on Twitter. And we'll keep you as up to date as possible on all things Minnesota Wild, because if a puck drops in the state of hockey, Locked On Wild has you covered, with new episodes every Monday through Friday as parts of the Locked On Podcast Network.